Hi gamers! Haven't done a collection update video in a while, but I've actually been too busy playing games instead of collecting them. I just finished Metroid, Samus Returns on the 3DS, Mario + Rabbids Kingdom Battle on the Switch, and Super Mario Odyssey on the Switch. So I'm gonna be sharing some in-depth thoughts on those 3 games in this video. Hopefully you like it, even though I think this is gonna be a long one. But first, we got a new Wii U game, Just Dance 2018. It's nice to see that Ubisoft is still making games for the console, even though Nintendo themselves aren't. Although, to be fair, Ubisoft also released this game on the original Wii as well, which is crazy. But yeah, good for them, and nice to have a new game on the Wii U. This isn't the final game or anything. There's gonna be at least one more Dragon Quest X expansion in Japan. So I got that pre-ordered already, and hopefully we'll see the physical edition of Axiom Verge come out as well. It's been a bit of a release limbo for a while. Hey, new Wii U game. And then I'll show you my Switch editions, after that the 3DS. Got here Pokken Tournament DX. It's basically the same game as on the Wii U, with some slight improvements. But like I think I've said this previously, but I think Nintendo should just port every Wii U game onto the Switch. Looks like it's the quality is there, like with Mario Kart 8 DX and now Pokken Tournament DX. And you know, on the Switch, the Wii U was one of Nintendo's biggest flops, so that means there are a ton of people who haven't experienced all those really great Wii U exclusives, and hopefully they'll get a new audience on the Switch. Then we have here Mario + Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I did an unboxing of the collector's edition of the game. If you don't know what this is, it's basically Mario meets XCOM. So it's this RPG turn-based action strategy game, and it's a really nice fit. I was kinda on the fence when I saw this first, and you know, developed by Ubisoft. Didn't know what to think about it, but it's a fantastic game. It really works well. You know, you get experience points and you unlock skill tree things, and you get new weapons, and it's all there that you would expect on a turn-based strategy RPG, just in with Mario and company. I'm not the biggest fan of rabbits. I don't know if anybody is, but even they did a pretty good job. Some laughs to be had with the goody rabbit characters, and some really inventive stuff with the baddies. I like the character design here, enemy design, not just your standard Mario enemies, but some new ones here as well. I played with a team of Mario, who is the all-rounder with a great the hammer attack, great area effect attack, and I played with Luigi, who is the sniper in the game, really great on long distances, and I played with Rabbid Peach, who is the healer of the game. So I found that to be a pretty balanced squad. Really great game, lots of collectibles. I think the puzzles in between the fights could have been a bit more difficult. They were mostly just a matter of execution, not really about figuring something out. But still, it provided a good enough distraction from the fighting in between. So yeah, great music, looks great. Good stuff. Really should own this if you own a Switch. And then we get to Super Mario Odyssey. Just finished the game a couple of days ago, and of course that's usually where modern Mario games start. After you've seen the end credits, there's most of the content is there, which is fine for me. You know, I like the fact that anybody can and will finish the game, see the ending. But for those who want more out of the game, more hours or more of a challenge, there's the whole end game for you. And the scope of Super Mario Odyssey is crazy. It's clear that Nintendo has gone all out with Zelda Breath of the Wild with the 900 Korok seeds and tons and tons of stuff to find, and the world map is bigger than you would ever explore of it all. And they kind of made a Mario game with that same ideology. It's a shame that you don't have a central hub in Super Mario Odyssey. I think that was one of the the better qualities in Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Sunshine, and this is basically made in the same vein as those two. So this is the third game in that type of Mario game. You know, where you have more freedom to look around and have to use your wits to find stuff instead of just going from A to B, from the start point of a level to the end flag of a level. And as such, this is a huge treat. This is something that I think every Mario fan has waited for ever since Super Mario 64. Although I liked Sunshine as well, so no complaints for me here. But the only criticism that I have for the game, it looks great, plays great, it's vast, it's just too vast, just a little bit. You know, I think if you feel this is a spoiler, there are how many moons there are in the game to collect. There are 880, I believe, so almost the same amount as Korok seeds. But they are not hidden as well as the Korok seeds. You know, Super Mario Odyssey basically gives away the moons for free, like half the moons, and you have to work for the rest of them. Which kind of degrades the feel that you get when you find a moon. You know, in Super Mario 64, every star was an event. You know, you felt a real sense of progress when you find a star. But in Super Mario Odyssey, you know, a moon is it's just the same as the next one. That doesn't mean that you don't want to collect each and every one of them and you know, see what's in the next world, and you know, or that there aren't moons that feel really satisfying to get. But I think it was a bit of a Nintendo could have you know, made a better game by letting themselves you know, off a little bit easier, in the fact that, you know, they could have easily left out half of the moons in the game that they made, and I guess it could have been a bit better with just half of the content. It's crazy, but you know, maybe just cut most of the easy moons and leave just you know, leave most of the hard moons there, harder moons. There aren't that many that are actually hard to get. I don't know, maybe this will change when I get all of them or something like that, but that's kind of my initial feeling towards the amount of moons there are and how frequently the game gives them to you. It's a minor gripe, of course. This is I'm quite confident that this will be the best platformer game of the generation. That's at least until Nintendo does an Odyssey 2. And you know, it's just a small gripe, you know, the amount of content there is. But it's just it's on the back of your head that you don't get quite as much satisfaction from the progression in the game. than you would get if they had designed the moons a bit differently here. But of course, you know, the game is almost perfect. Get it if you own a Switch. It's one of the best games on the system. I would say that it's the second best game on the system. Zelda Breath of the Wild is still the game of the year for me overall, and of course on the Switch as well. Of course, there are tons of really great details, and I just love the fact that Mario is truly back. 3D World on the Wii U. It was my favorite game on the system, but there's still just something that much more special in an open-ended Mario game, where you have a world to explore instead of just going from the end, from the beginning of a level to the end of a level. Essential stuff. No big gripes here, just a minor detail that I didn't quite like in Odyssey. You know, Nintendo could have easily cut half of the content just to be added as a DLC later on. I don't know if Nintendo is planning on doing DLC here, but it's just weird, you know. Why would you throw everything at the kitchen sink into the game when you could, you know, get a lot of dollars from gamers, you know, 100 more moons, 200 more moons, you know, DLC packages. But maybe they will do it regardless. But hey, it's the biggest Mario game there is, so it's fantastic. And one final Switch game here, Fire Emblem Warriors, and why get one when you can get two? So I got the 3DS version here as well. I don't have that much experience in the Warriors game, basically just Hyrule Warriors and this. I think I prefer this as a game. Hyrule Warriors is, the subject matter is more dear to me than Fire Emblem, but this is the better game. Not just because of slightly improved graphics, thanks to the Switch. And, you know, of course, the downgrade here on the new 3DS, it doesn't work on a regular 3DS, and it looks great, but it's still a Fire Emblem, a Warriors game, so it's, you know, you can't even compare them to like Breath of the Wild or something like that. It's still rough around the edges, the graphics, when you have hundreds of enemies on the screen. But what I like about Fire Emblem is that the story is better than on Hyrule Warriors, and of course I like the fact that they added a Fire Emblem mode, where if your character dies in the battle, they die permanently, like they would in the Fire Emblem strategy games. That's optional, thankfully, but it's a nice touch and a great way to instill some of the Fire Emblem spirit that is still, you know, a Warriors title. So continuing here with 3DS games, just gonna go a bit faster here with these. I'm not gonna be talking about all of these as much. Got Yokai Watch 2 Psychic Spectres. So this is the third and final version of Yokai Watch 2. They're doing it the Pokemon way, so 2 games at launch and a third definitive version later on. I got Monster Hunter Stories, a bit of a different kind of Monster Hunter game. And then Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions. Superstar Saga is, of course, the first game in the Mario and Luigi series. First came out on the Game Boy Advance, and it was a riot. Basically made in the same, from the same cloth as Super Mario RPG and Paper Mario, but just with a different kind of graphical style. But all the charm and humor was in the game than with the other games as well. And I think this just might be one the funniest Mario RPG type game. Some really great irony here and self mockery from Nintendo, and you know, when it comes to some of the more worn out story vehicles or something like that. So Nintendo wasn't scared of making fun of themselves here. But now we also have the Bowser's Minions edition here, which is a good value for somebody who has played the game already. Also did the unboxing for Metroid Samus Returns Legacy Edition. Metroid Samus Returns is it's the remake of the black and white Game Boy original, and but don't worry if you have played the original. You know, you can't even recognize the game here. I don't think I've played the original years ago, and I didn't remember any familiar place here in Samus Returns. So it's basically a new game. Lots and lots of new abilities and bosses and secrets, and you know, I guess the rough layout of the game is the same, but everything else is different. And it's really nice to be playing a 2D Metroid again. It's a 2D Metroid is one of my favorite games, Super Metroid, and both of the games on Game Boy Advance. So it was high time we get a new 2D Metroid. It's still 3D in its graphical style, and they do use the 3D effect nicely. But it's still 2D Metroid, and it's just you know, any will use the worn phrase Metroidvania. There aren't that many games anymore. You know, on the previous DS we got 3 Castlevania games, which is amazing. All 3 of those were really great, fantastic 2D adventures. But yeah, Metroid has been slumbering away, but yeah, Samus Returns more fittingly. And I hope that this you know, really generates enough buzz that people will flock to Metroid Prime 4. That's, I guess that's, as much as I love 2D Metroids, Metroid Prime 1 is one of my all-time favorite games, and really anxious to see what they do with Metroid Prime 4. Hopefully it'll come out next year, but I really don't think so, so maybe it's 2019. Really great secrets here again. This isn't the best 2D Metroid, but at this point everything just feels so fresh that I don't think I can even, you know, be mad about some of the poorer design choices or some of the a little bit boring sections of the game where just hunting something down that you can find. But still, a 2D Metroid is a 2D Metroid, and you should really play this game if you own a 3DS. And then one more game, Story of Seasons, Trio of Towns. I can't really talk about this game. I haven't played it. I think I need some help.
Hi gamers. So here we have Story of Seasons, Trio of Towns. I don't know if a lot of you are familiar with the series. It used to be called something else. I think the name Harvest Moon will ring a bit more bells with some of you. I've been a fan for well over 10 years now. And what happened with Harvest Moon is the publisher decided that they were going to start making their own Harvest Moon games. The company that's localizing it for the West. And those games are actually pretty abysmal, like genuinely some of the worst games I've ever played in my life. But thankfully, they've still preserved the original series in the West with a new name, Story of Seasons, and they're still going pretty strong. And as you can see, it's the 20th anniversary of the series, and this is really fit for that celebration. As the name suggests, Trio of Towns, you've got 3 towns with different themes. You've got a Japanese village, and then a Wild West theme, and a tropical island kind of thing. And you zip between those, and you do errands and grow different kinds of crops and pet really cute cows. That's kind of the point of the series. It's huge. You've got so much to do. It's really expansive. It's actually sort of exhausting, but I really enjoyed it. I reviewed it for work, and the funny thing is, as soon as I finished reviewing it, I dropped it pretty much, and I went and bought Stardew Valley for my Switch and started playing that all over again. So make of that what you will, but it's a good game. That's all I have to say. I think that's it for me. Thanks for watching. Bye!